Hey, Viking fans, this is Keith Millard, and you are listening to the One Bar and Lupicus Show. Go Vikes!
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupicus Show. I'm One Bar with Lupicus and a very, very special guest tonight, Walter from WalterFootball.com. I think it's safe to say the godfather of mock drafts almost. This dude's been around forever, whooping some mock draft ass. We've been talking NFL draft for quite some time here, and pulling things out of our ass. But now we got Walter here to set us straight, answer some questions. Very excited. Walter, how the hell are you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on. I hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, I'm excited for the draft. It's in 1 week, so let's get going.
Yeah. At this point, do you start having trouble going to sleep, or?
Yeah, it's last night I had nightmares. I was like, oh, am I going to get these picks right? It is coming up. I always feel woefully unprepared for the draft. And I remember 3 years ago, I was about to get married in late May. And my aunt comes up to me, it's like 2 weeks before the draft. She's like, are you ready for the big day? I'm like, yeah, it's 2 weeks. So I never told my wife that. So hopefully she's not listening.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Yes. We're gonna pick your brain Vikings wise and NFL draft wise, so it's gonna be a little bit of a mix. But I'll let Mr. Lupicus tee it up here.
Yeah, again, Walter. Again, thanks for joining us. I mean, Walter, you've been around pretty much since the dawn of the internet. I'm not sure which came first. It's kind of like a chicken and egg scenario with you. But Jalen Phillips, he's a guy who's been getting a lot of buzz lately, going to the Vikings at pick 14. He's got a huge injury history. Do you believe he's truly worth a pick in the top 15?
I think based on talent, you'd have to say yeah, but the injury history is huge. He's also a one-year wonder. So there are a lot of things going against him as well. If he didn't have those concerns, I think you could definitely see him going 14 to the Vikings. I still think that's possible, but I think there's a better chance that he falls. If you look back at the history of guys who have fallen inexplicably, usually it's because of injuries. Remember a couple of years ago, Juwan Taylor, everyone thought he's going to go number 9, and then he falls to the second round, and then you find out it's because of injuries. And teams are going to be very hesitant to draft these guys. And but then again, if the Vikings completely clear him and they're comfortable taking him, then yeah, he could definitely go 14.
And that's what's surprising me this year is people aren't looking at past history where these guys fall because of this guy's was forced to retire because of concussions. And if I'm a draft guy, which I am, but I would look at the past and say, hey, this guy's not going to go in the top 15 with his injury history. So I'm surprised he's getting so much love by these big name analysts Daniel Jeremiah and guys like that. So
yeah, the athletic ability is just off the charts, and that's what they're looking at, and I can't blame them. But then again, you have to look at the injuries, and teams are the ones making the decisions, and their jobs are on the line. And if they draft a guy who can't play, they're going to get fired. So they're more hesitant to drop a guy based on the injuries.
Sure.
Yeah, the thought of Jalen Phillips scares the crap out of me, but also the thought of him with Danielle Hunter, Tomlinson, and Michael Pierce gets me very, very excited. So it's a
conundrum.
It's a conundrum. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, and I would say if you guys had a second round pick, you could maybe look at that and hopefully he drops and then you trade up for him. But then it's a tough spot. But then again, you can always just get an edge rusher later.
Yep.
Let me throw a random one at you. Are you on board as far as this year's draft just being the most unpredictable, possibly being the most surprising as far as picks, just everything that's going on this last season, everything like that?
Yeah, I think so. And I was talking about this on my podcast where I was saying I'd rather have a 2022 pick than a 2021 pick, because a lot of these guys, a lot of the scouts can't really scout these guys correctly. There was no combine. The pro days were kind of scattered, and there's no top 30 visits. So I'd rather just trade away this year's picks for next year's. Obviously there are some great positions in this year's class, but then again, I feel like they're going to be way more busts than usual this year. So yeah, I think it's going to be unpredictable, like you said.
Speaking of unpredictable, I'm going to go off the record here a little bit too. How many elite level talents would you say are in this class right now?
I guess off the top of my head, I would say probably 6 or 7. I'd have to look at the list. Obviously the top 3 receivers, I would put them as elite. the Trevor Lawrence, obviously, and I think you could put Zach Wilson there too. And I like Justin Fields a lot, so I'd put him there. Penei Sewell. So 7, and then Kyle Pitts. So I guess 8. I would say 8 elite players.
Okay.
Speaking of receivers, if one of the top 3 receivers do fall to the Vikings at 14, could you see them saying, screw it, I don't care what our needs are, we're taking a Jalen Waddle or we're taking a Smith?
It would be tempting, like best player available, but I think what could happen is I think the Vikings would be in a good position to trade down to a team looking to trade up for a receiver. The problem is it's not just like need, but like Justin Jefferson is going to get a huge contract in about 3 years. And if they take a guy like Waddle or Devontae Smith and he turns out to be great too, they're going to have to give him a big contract as well 12 months later. And it's going to create this huge financial conundrum where they won't be able to re-sign both guys. So I think that they'll have that in the back of their mind. Like, it'll be tempting for sure. But I think that, if a Waddle or a Jalen or if Devontae Smith falls, the Vikings will be in a good spot to trade down.
Yeah, but one guy who can make that work is Rob Brzezinski. That guy is a wizard when it comes to the cap. You know what? We've been in cap hell for years. We're used to it. Let's do it. Let's take a receiver.
This is why we have Walter on here, because he's a realist and he's bursting our bubbles. So we appreciate
Sorry to
that.
let you guys down.
And you just put out a new 7-round mock, right?
Yeah. We just added the 7th round today. So yeah.
Yes, check it out. I went through that thing with a fine-tooth comb. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, heck yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit down the board a little bit. So the Vikings have a huge need at safety. They did bring in Xavier Woods, but he's a 1-year deal. Harrison Smith is getting older, so probably round 3, round 4, the Vikings have like 6 picks. Any of those safeties coming off in that area you think could actually start day 1?
Yeah, look at guys who are like more instinctive, like that. I think that lends itself to being able to play right away. So I think the 3 safeties you might be looking at in round 3 are probably Javon Holland, although he's probably less likely to be there than the other 2. Andre Sisco and Richie Grant. I feel like all 3 of those guys could maybe start right away and do well. They all obviously have their downsides too. Otherwise, they'd be first-round picks. And this safety class is not very good, so it's going to be tough to land a starting safety. But of those guys, of the other safeties, I think those 3 might be where you're looking in round 3.
I'd be fine with any one of them.
Just another one off the hip here. Rashawn Slater, 0% chance he's there at 14.
No, I think there's a chance. There's so many with all these tackles in this class, except for Penei Sewell. There's so much love-hate for each prospect. I've seen so many people gushing for Rashawn Slater. Like I've seen some draft analysts say that he's better than Penei Sewell, but we've spoken to some teams that think he's a guard or a center only, and like not a tackle. So it really depends on the team's drafting. If they don't think that Slater can play tackle, then they're going to pass on him, and he's going to fall a little bit. So he could be there at 14 for sure. I'd probably 50-50 at this point, I think.
That's hope. That is hope. We like that.
That is hope. We've been talking to some guys from some other teams, and every one of them said, Cowboys, Eagles, and the Chargers said it. He ain't getting by us. So to hear you say that makes me, it gives me hope.
Well, glad to give you hope. I think the Cowboys go corner, so maybe that's like one fewer team that you have to worry about. But I think Slater could fall because of the slight concerns.
Sweet. All right. So are you a fan of the whole Mac Jones going 3 overall? Is that why the Niners moved up?
I don't think so. I'd be shocked if he goes 3. Like maybe I'm wrong and they really love him. But as someone in the NFL told us, they said did the 49ers lose to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl and then give up 2 first-round picks to move up for a mediocre talent like Mac Jones? I really don't see it. I think they moved up for either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. I think they like both. And I kind of get the feeling that the reason why they haven't said anything is that they don't want to tip off the Jets, and they don't want the Jets to change their mind and take their guy. And I really don't think it's Mac Jones. He has a DUI history as well. Like there's a lot of problems with him. And we've spoken to some teams outside of the top 5 who need a quarterback. And they said if Mac Jones falls to us, we're not taking him because we don't think he's that good. But they think he's a second-round talent, and he's being propped up, I guess, because of the need of quarterback. So I don't see Jones going 3.
Interesting.
And spoiler alert, it's the new 7-round mock. He's not at 3.
Wow.
He's not even in the top 16. So.
Oh my God.
He's not. He's not. I mean, I didn't want to really give it away, but that said, I would love nothing more than Mac Jones to go at 3, just because I love those weird ass picks that just are fantastic on draft day that nobody can believe.
Well, it'll be good for the Vikings too, because it'll mean one fewer position that won't fall to you. Like, I don't think Mac Jones goes in the top 13. So, but if he does, that's going to be one better player who falls to you guys.
Absolutely. Give us a player that's going to go way sooner than anybody's really thinking or expecting or being mocked.
I think maybe a couple, like Jason Away from Penn State. He's so athletic. I think that, teams are always desperate for edge rushers, and they might be in love with his raw talent. And this year's edge rushing class isn't like that great. I mean, you have, like we talked about Jalen Phillips. He has the concerns. So maybe some team likes Away better. And Kwity Paye has some issues too. So I think Away could go higher, and I think Zaven Collins, like his versatility at linebacker, he could play inside or outside. I think teams are going to like that a lot, and I think like the Patriots / Dolphins, and I heard that the Cardinals like him a little bit too. So I've seen in our reader mock draft where people vote for the pick, like he's still available at 28, and I'm fairly confident he's going to be in the top 18.
Oh, nice.
Heck yeah. All right. So 2 commonly mocked. Well, the Vikings need O-line help, and the 2 guys who are most likely to be there, Elijah Vera Tucker, Christian Darrisaw. If they're both there and the Vikings are on the clock at pick 14, what's your gut saying? Which way are the Vikings going to go?
It's close. I have a feeling it's going to be Darrisaw. I mean, they both fit what the Vikings have looked for in offensive linemen. But like all the other offensive linemen not named Penei Sewell, like they each have their issues. Like with Vera Tucker, there's like a length issue. Some people think he has to play guard in the NFL. With Darrisaw, some like there's like it doesn't have like a mean streak, and like some people in the NFL have said like there's something missing with him. Like, but they both have huge upside. They're both very athletic, and the Vikings, I feel like would make a good pick with either of them.
As far as guys who go way sooner than expected, is there anybody that is getting a lot of love that you think could actually fall?
Well, I talked about Mac Jones. I feel like he's going to fall. Like, again, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. Like, I think he's like an Andy Dalton type of guy. Charlie Campbell compared him to Matt Barkley. So
oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the teams we spoke to don't like him. Maybe this is all smoke, but I don't see it with him. I think Gregory Rousseau as well. Like, he's a huge name. But the teams don't think he has that type of explosion that kind of like lends itself to being a first round pick. I think there's a chance he could fall out of the first round, which I think would have surprised a lot of people a few months ago.
Yeah, I love Greg Rousseau. I think he'd be hell of a compliment next to Daniel Hunter, but I get it. I can see why he'd fall. All right, so let's just talk about trades here quick. There's a lot of rumors about who's trading up, who's trading back. Do you think there's going to be 2 or 3 trades in those first 15 picks or so?
Yeah, I think it depends on what happens at quarterback. I have a feeling the Broncos want either Fields or Lance. So if one of them falls past Atlanta, or if Atlanta doesn't want to take the one that the Niners don't take, I think you could see a trade where the Broncos move up. And I'm also wondering about the Bears. I know you guys are interested in what the Bears are doing. They don't have a quarterback. Like, Andy Dalton is their quarterback right now, which means they don't have one. So like they have to do something about that. And if you see one of the quarterbacks fall, like if Mac Jones falls outside of the top 5 or something like that, I would say probably outside. If he gets past Denver, I think you could see the Bears move up for Mac Jones. So there's definitely going to be some movement. The Eagles are talking about moving into the top 10, which I could see. I think they want one of the receivers. Carolina wants to move down, which makes sense because it's the best player available to them is probably going to be a receiver, and they don't really need one. So I think they could trade down. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of trades for sure.
Awesome. Let's make this draft day amazing. All the trades. You never know. And it sucks. You work all this time doing these mock drafts. First 5 minutes of the draft,
blows it up.
It just blowing up.
Blows it up.
Yeah. It's random stuff like that. A few years ago, I remember the Laramie Tunsil Bongate that ruined mock drafts. So there's always something like like you said, you put all this work into it, and then it just ruins it. Something ruins it.
It's just gone so quick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So
go ahead.
No, I just want when you're putting drafts together, Walter. Like, do you think is it always by what you think the team's going to do or what you're hearing, or do you kind of put a little bit of your heart into it too, what you think they should do? How do you kind of gauge that when you're doing a mock?
I think we're like earlier in the process, like before the combine. It's all about like what I think the teams are going to do, or even what they should do as well, because there's no information to go on. Like, and then once the rumors start coming in, like Charlie Campbell's amazing at gathering information. Like he's so great, and he always provides us with inside info. And then once that starts happening, like usually at the combine, it didn't happen this year, but usually when the combine info starts coming in, and then pro days, and then the week before the draft, like Charlie usually gets a lot of information for us. So that's when I start mocking based on stuff we're hearing. And also, I mean, there's a lot of great reporters as well. Like they provide outstanding information. So yeah, it's usually I have like someone I trust for a team, and I'll listen to what they have to say, and if it makes sense, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll mock that to them. I don't have that for every team, obviously. Yeah. So it's based on a lot of things.
Sweet.
Boom. Once again, Walter from WalterFootball.com, one of the OGs of the mock draft world. It was fantastic. Fantastic having you on the show, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask you one more thing before we end, just because Lupagus and I always have a very soft spot in those late round gems. Is there one guy that you have just in the mid to late rounds that you're really excited about seeing at the next level?
Yeah, I think like Trevon Grimes makes a lot of sense. The Florida receiver. I feel like he would have a lot more hype if it wasn't for Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney. I think he's kind of going under the radar. So, like we talked about receivers earlier for the Vikings, and I think you guys need to address the depth there. And so if he's available in like round 4, round 5, I think that would be a good pick.
Boom.
Trevon Grimes. Awesome.
Put it down, put it in ink. All right. Like I said, Walter's got his new 7-round mock out there. Check it out. Vikings, they come out pretty damn good. I'll say that. So thanks again for joining the show. Appreciate it. And good luck in the next week as far as your mock draft.
Thanks so much for having me on, and good luck to you guys as well. It's gonna be wild.
All right, Walter. Happy draft day. Staying in early. Enjoy it.
You too.
All right, appreciate it.